Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are, get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. My guests this episode are two hugely inspiring women, Rosa and Margo Flanagan, aka the two Raw sisters. Margo and Rosa are two of our most successful cookbook authors. They have 4 best-selling books. They run workshops. They've now got an app and they've opened their own catering business. Two Raw Sisters has veggie-first approach, but live by the philosophy of all eaters. Welcome, Rosa and Margo, welcome in.
Thanks for having us.
So excited to chat with you, Paula.
It's neat to have you in the studio too. So I get to see them face to face because you're both based in Canterbury, aren't we?
Yes. Yep. So we flew up this morning.
Good.
Here
Good
we
to
are
see you.
in the studio. Couldn't get any better.
Okay, so here's my housekeeping rules. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So they're very straightforward. I'm allowed to ask you anything.
Perfect.
Right?
Love that.
It's a philosophy for life. But as I tell a lot of people, you don't actually have to answer. And particularly in a podcast, silence is quite awkward for us all. So that means we have to move. And we call this the safe space. So there's absolutely no judgy, right?
Perfect.
My daughter and I have that. No judgy zone. So
We're no judgy either, so suits us.
yeah, good. We like that. Okay, some quick fire questions. If you could invite anyone to dinner, both of you, then who would that be?
My granddad, who's
Really?
no longer here with us, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
lovely man.
Always had lovely man.
Lovely man.
Very much a gentleman, and had the best conversations with him.
Really?
Yeah.
So just in what way? So he was just well informed and he challenged you, or
He was
it
just a very
interesting?
kind, gentle, loving man, and he was anything you told him, he would always be so immersed and would sit and listen, and he would never butt in, or it was never about him. It was always about hearing about someone else's story, and just
I love
he was
the
great.
quote, attention is the purest form of generosity.
Wow,
There you go.
that's quite lovely.
That's granddad.
Okay, well, what would you cook at that dinner party?
Well, there would have to be roast potatoes for Granddad, wouldn't there? Big bit of roast lamb and a good salad.
Yeah,
Keep it simple.
yeah, and tasty, right?
Yeah. Start with your delicious salad and your roast taties, and then have the slow cooked leg of lamb.
It sounds absolutely awesome to me. Okay, what does your perfect day look like?
Perfect day for me. I'm a doer. I'm an active doer, so
Are
I'm
you
not very
ever?
much a relaxer. I think that's something I would like to be better at, but it doesn't come naturally. For me, I like to get up. I like to have a coffee in bed. That's my active relaxing. Talk to my partner around what we're going to do for the day. This is normally a Sunday.
We
for
don't need
example.
every detail, by
Okay,
the way. Just
perfect.
a quick...
Sisters to anyone that's listening.
And we live on a farm, so going around the farm, moving animals is what I love doing and what he loves doing as well. And then I'll normally go for a walk with the dogs, cook something yummy, hang out, might read a book, do some gardening.
Yeah, just nice and relaxed.
Outdoors, wholesome.
Margo,
Whereas-
what about you?
My partner and I are townies, so we're coffee shops, wine bars, biking around the city, being sustainable.
Eating enough good Kiwi food
Yeah,
and drinking
yeah.
a couple of glasses of good Kiwi wine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I could do a bit of both, so there
yeah.
you go. That's all right.
Good mix.
Okay, now that we're warmed up, let's get to know you two a bit better. So you've both dealt with some pretty serious health issues at different times in your lives. So talk me through some of that and what that's sort of how that's actually made you into who you are now.
Yeah, so Margo and I went through our own individual health journeys, quite different. I was an athlete for about 8 years and specialised in middle distance running. So 3,000 metre steeplechase was my specialty, the one with the water jump. And over my time as an athlete, I developed a severe training obsession and an eating disorder. So I got really sick. I got diagnosed with a condition called REDS, which stands for Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport. So it was pretty much a combination of amenorrhea, so that means you don't get your period until the age of about 21 years old. So I didn't get mine until I was 22. osteoporosis. So I was on the verge of osteoporosis at the age of 20, and then I had really low energy availability, and
Is that really that compulsiveness of your training and perhaps lack of food and just how much you're doing, that you're not putting enough in and you're putting too much out, and the body is kind of almost breaking down? And please tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm making that up.
That's like a simple, I was actually going to mention a really simple term of putting it is you're putting more out than what you're putting in. So you're not fueling your body correctly. And for me, nothing was ever enough. So I'd go and do more than what my coach would tell me to do. And that just was a downward spiral, and I suffered anxiety and depression and got myself in a really deep, dark hole. And for me to get out of that, I learnt about food and the importance of food and fueling your body. And that's where my passion for food really kind of started, and went on to do a degree in human nutrition.
And so, Margo, did you see Rosa getting sick?
She was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I was a horrible person.
Yeah, she was very self-centered, if I will say so myself. But it's been really cool now as you kind of get over it and seeing you kind of flourish as a person, because you didn't really have much of a life back then.
Personality of a person that has an eating disorder or a training obsession is very much single-minded. Nothing to me ever mattered other than if it was related to running, and I didn't have a life outside of that. And when I look back, I get really upset about that, and that I put my body through that.
It doesn't even have to be on an elite level, though.
No.
Like, we see it a lot coming into the kitchen for workshops. Like, it's very obvious when someone has a particular relationship with food, because you can tell within their body language, they shut it off, or they're like, constantly thinking in their mind, this, like, counting the calories or whatever.
It's a very common, the more we talk about it, through our personal journeys and just in general within our Two Raw Sisters, we do a lot with women's health, and it's a massive topic. And so many women, whether you're an athlete or not, go through it. And it's not a conversation that's talked about often, and that's where...
we still live with the shame.
We do, And in my instinct, I talked about it, and I was one of the first to talk about an eating disorder, and from the circle that I was within, and the amount of women, young girls that came up to me and said, I am going exactly through what you're going through, and it's so nice to know that they're not alone.
Food is just such a complicated topic. Like, there's so many people telling you to do this and not do that, and then another person saying the complete opposite, and it's like, well, what do I do? And that's where we're just like, you don't have to do anything, just eat everything in moderation.
That's
simple.
right. That's right. Now, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm very different to Rosa. I have chronic fatigue and endometriosis, so I kind of went through... I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue when I was 16, and had 5 years of health professionals here telling me there was nothing I could do. It was just kind of a rest and get over it situation. And then we went over to the States, and this lady said, have you heard of gut health? And very much a buzzword now, but I said, no, never heard of it before. And she said, you need to focus on consuming more plants. We're not telling you to cut out anything in particular, but just focus on more plants. And within 3 months, my chronic fatigue had pretty much disappeared. So I was never into food. Rosa's always been the foodie, but that was kind of what made me realise, like, wow, food is so powerful, and we need to use it to our advantage, because it's one of the easiest ways to improve our overall health and well-being.
And so that's for both of you, how you kind of got interested in what you're doing, and the cookbooks and the educating people, and really understanding behind it all what is good for you and how to do it.
We have very different strengths and weaknesses, which I suppose when we talked about it kind of formed the perfect business partners. And we're very much go-getters and want to make a change, and it's just kind of, we've ridden the wave and one thing's led to the next, and here we are.
It's funny, you were reminding me, I was reading in the weekend, and there's this sort of thought from one feminist that's putting out there, and she says, it's particularly with women, and you're talking about that relationship with food, and it's that, we've got to be good girls. And we're raised to be good girls. So don't relax too much, because you better get up and do something, and don't, watch what you eat and count those calories.
That might go on your hips, love.
Yeah, like all of that. And I'm not sure it is now just a women's issue at all, because I know that we certainly see a lot more men going through with their own trauma with their bodies and food and
Or it was even
everything
funny.
else. But
Rosa's friends just had a baby and she's breastfeeding and she's like so hungry, and her husband was like, "Oh, how you're eating quite a few biscuits recently." She was like, "I'm breastfeeding."
I'm feeding another human out there.
Yeah, I'm feeding too.
Yeah.
This body. This body's pretty damned amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was at a dinner party a while ago, and it was the warm up for the big event, if you like, in a few days' time. And I just never forget this husband putting his hand on his wife's wrist and saying, "Remember, you need to fit into that dress in a few nights' time."
Oh my goodness!
And I was just like, "What century am I in?"
Yeah.
But that's the thing with like high school students, semi-formals. It's like, "Oh, I'm not eating today because I've got to fit into my dress," and it's like, that is not living. Embrace your body as it is. Why do we always have to have this image? I listened to this podcast and it was like the Kardashians and how they're perceived to have the perfect bodies, but it's like they spend millions of dollars on their bodies.
Yeah,
It's not achievable.
and all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to be at the gym 5 hours a day? Not me.
No,
I'm
no.
30 minutes and then out of there.
Yeah, and there is something, and you talk a lot about it, and so let's talk a bit more about it. But you talk about that, really getting that kind of balance in life as well, isn't it? And as you say, everything kind of in moderation. And even though your cookbooks are plant-based, you still, you're not vegetarians yourselves or vegans.
No.
You're quite comfortable with people eating that protein. You're just saying get that plant-based in first.
Yeah, I think going back to Margo's point around gut health, fruits and veggies are full of fibre, and they essentially are the prebiotics that feed on the good gut bacteria in our gut, so we have a healthy microbiome. And I think for us, again, going back to keeping it really simple, I think people overcomplicate nutrition, and I've had so many women come to me around, they've been told to count calories, cut this out, cut that out, and I just literally say, pull it right back, go back to the basics, just start with plants, add your protein on the side if you choose to, and then go from there and see how you feel. And more often than not, they'll come back to me and say, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt right now. And it's, a complicated topic. And I think, again, Margo and I, we focus on pantry staples, using cost-effective ingredients that are in season, and people can relate to it just like that. It's what their grandmas, it's what their mums used to do. So it's pretty cool making that change and helping others do that in a simple way.
Especially in this day and age, like Rose was saying, with the cost of living, we're so easily marketed all these expensive supplements and these, golden pills that are going to fix everything. But it's like, stop spending $100 on a packet of pills and just start eating some more broccoli or some more veggies, but cook it in a delicious way so you actually look forward to it.
Yeah. We're going to talk a bit more about that because I am interested. So, Margo, I touched on, whether or not you watched Rosa go through her illness, but did you both then heal together? I mean, you could see her getting sicker. Was that road to recovery something you shared?
Yeah, well, we were both very sick at the same time with my chronic fatigue and Rosa's Red S, and we were both in the States at the time, so we were living together there for 3 months, and we both hit rock bottom together, and then we got home and we're both like, what the hell are we doing? Like, this isn't living, we're not enjoying ourselves, we're putting our body into the ground, like, let's do something about it. And I suppose Two Real Sisters was our way out of that, to be these role models so that we physically couldn't afford to go back into that deep hole, because it was like, well, we've said all this, we have to live what we preach, or, say what we preach.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're talking about the success, and it's definitely there. Is there an element of getting that timing right? Because, that how we eat our vegetables, that raw foods, that thinking more about it not just being the meat and 3 veg, all of which were either boiled to death or fried.
Yeah, timing's a funny thing. I don't think there's ever a right time, but we kind of timed it perfectly now that we look back on it. A lot of the veganism was huge back when we started, especially over in the States where we were for a wee while. Everything was vegan, everything was plant-based, everything was dairy-free, gluten-free. And then we came back home to New Zealand and it wasn't even a thing here. And I suppose that's where we went on that whole journey around what is our philosophy, and that's where we came up with the term. For us, plant-based means starting with your plants and adding your meat on the side, because that's what the typical, a Kiwi bloke, for example, isn't going to have a meal without meat on it, to be honest, majority of the time. So how can we incorporate all eaters into our whole philosophy and get people on board with what we're doing? And I think people really appreciated our approach. It wasn't hardcore veganism, it wasn't hardcore eater. We came in the middle and people could alter depending on what they like. So for example, a lot of females come to us and they're like, I don't want to eat as much meat as what I am at the moment, but my husband can't have a meal without meat. So that's where I approach with, start with your salad first. You can top your salad with some protein, such as a bit of steak, but he can have twice the amount as you and you can have a little bit less. And that's where she wasn't going to have to cook 3 meals for the kids, herself and her husband. It was inclusive. It was incorporating a whole family, and everyone can alter it differently.
It has taken us in New Zealand a little while to kind of change the way that we eat, and you can certainly see that coming through now.
But more and more, it amazes me the people that come to our workshop who are simply just wanting to make a few small changes to their overall health and well-being, and food is a place that they're starting that with. And hearing their stories and where they want to get to, it's very inspiring. And I love it because people walk out of our workshops and they feel motivated and they feel ready to get in the kitchen and try new things. And changes, it doesn't have to be a big change. It can be as little as having 1 meal a week that you start basing around your plants. So, yeah. So, I mean,
you two seem really close, and you've got this, very successful business that's growing and so many other things. But are you always, how do you get on? How's the working together, sisters?
On the plane.
Come on.
I actually said, I feel like this year, or just the past 6 months, we've been really close. I think we're really good at defining business and work. And when we're at work, we know what each other does and we don't step on each other's toes. But, when we're together, it's, I don't know, we're just kind of helping each other out at the moment, which is nice. We're going through lots of change and lots of new learnings, which has been cool.
And I think at the start of the business, it was all new to us, and we would, like Mark said, start stepping on each other's toes, and we didn't define our job roles, and then we didn't know how to separate our life and work, so we felt like we were working all the time, and then we would arrive at work tired and fatigued, and then that wouldn't be a good result to start a Monday, and it just was a bit of a spiral effect. But now we're definitely in a good place and challenging one another in the workplace, which is really good. We can bounce each other ideas off each other, and we're
having those
grateful.
boundaries as well, like people who work with their best friend or with family. It's like, Rosa knows, don't call me after 5 unless it's urgent, or don't ring me before 8 because I'm doing my Pilates.
Yeah.
But we are
having those boundaries.
We are very lucky to be able to work as sisters, and we definitely do treasure that.
Well, I mean, I work, for Bailey's for quite a bit, and I mean, that is just a massive family company, and they really are, and family's just so important, and they all work together. And then, this morning, so what did you guys do on the weekend? Oh, we all went and got together. I went, but you worked together all week. And they went, that was fun time. This is work. And they define it really nicely.
Yeah.
Yet there's still a lovely undercurrent of values and respect for each other. And
I think that respect is really important as well. Like you were just saying, that whole, you've got your life with your partner and your friends, and I've got my life with my partner and my friends, and
we respect that.
We respect that and allow each other to have that time and space.
So did you ever think you'd go into business together like this?
No.
And so it kind of organically happened, didn't it?
Mum and Dad literally sat us down and said, you girls can never start a business together because you don't get along.
Yeah.
And we're like, 5 years later, Mum and Dad, what do you think now?
And they got their kitchen back because you started in their kitchen.
It did start in their kitchen.
Yeah.
It did.
But
it was definitely a wobbly start at the beginning, but we're in a good space.
So what's next? I mean, we talked about it, but we've got, workshops, we've got 4 cookbooks, we've got the app, we've got the catering business. Any ideas on what kind of comes next for you?
I suppose we count ourselves in a very lucky position because I'm 27, Margo's 25. 25? Yeah.
Yep.
And we're at place where we can actually grow the business where we want it to actually grow and head, and we can evaluate what lifestyles we want to lead in 5 years, 10 years time, and how does our business fit around that. So that's something we've been really focusing on in the last kind of year or so, making those next steps and changes. And as Margo said, we've done a lot of evaluation within the business and kind of honing in a little bit more. And for us, our app is our big pathway that we want to go down, and that's been... We had a web-based app, and now we've launched an iOS app in March this year. An Android app, thank you. And it's a really exciting venture that we're both really loving, and it's a cool opportunity for us to go beyond New Zealand.
What would I find on the app?
So we've got over 500 recipes on the app.
Great.
Every month we release 4 new recipes, and we've got filters, we've got a search bar on there, we've got a big section around women's health, which we can touch on later, but we do a lot around menopause and the women's cycle, so your menstrual cycle, which has been amazing, and the response from that has been, it shows that there's a massive market for that area and education.
You're going global?
Yeah, the app.
Already are global. Yeah. The app's worldwide, which is really cool. So pushing that, which we can do from our couches at home, which is perfect.
And you've had success in Australia already, right?
Yeah, so our books are in Australia, which is awesome. So we're heading over there a little bit more now. But no, love the Aussie market. It's cool.
All right, we're going to come back really shortly, and we are going to talk more about your approach to food, some advice on how we can all utilise it and to live a healthier, better life and look after our women's health. Right, we're now on the advice segment, and today our focus is going to be on having a healthy lifestyle and how we can achieve that through food. We've already talked a bit about it, but let's get into it a little bit more. I mean, do you think that we still have a diet culture?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And so the people you're seeing in your workshops, the people you're seeing, do they talk about that as far as being on diets or what that means?
Yeah, I do a little bit of, obviously on top of the workshops and things, I do a little bit of nutrition consultations on the side. And my main individual who comes to me has been told to cut certain food groups out, count their calories, and they come to me so confused and stressed out, anxious. They don't know where to start, and that's where I go back to our Two Sisters philosophy. Strip it right back, keep it simple, start with your plants, add your meat on the side. And I quite often will revert people to our app or our cookbooks because there's so many different ideas there that they can kind of put their play on. But yeah, diet culture is definitely still there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are realising that it's not necessarily a great thing to put their bodies through, and it's more around how we can create a sustainable lifestyle that we can actually maintain and enjoy food with. A lot of people, they might go on a diet and lose weight, then they'll regain it again. They've done that maybe 10 or so times now.
And the anxiety that goes with that, right?
So much stress. Yeah. And that's like what's refreshing about our philosophy is it's like use our recipes as guidelines. If you don't have broccoli but you've got cauli, use that instead, or only buy what's cheap and in season. Food doesn't have to be expensive.
And with because I've got your books and I use them, and I've changed quite the way that my husband eats. Although he's always enjoyed vegetables and all that, and salads and things. But we're trying different things that we wouldn't have tried before, and really enjoying them and making that kind of from scratch, which is just gives you that real sense of
I look at
achievement.
I look at it in quite a holistic way as well, and when you go on a diet, for example, you start stressing around what foods you can and can't eat. And then that stress then affects your family life. It then affects your work life. And you might already have stress in those two areas of your life. And then you might go and tell yourself you need to do a high intensity exercise session. And then you go and put more stress on yourself. And it's just stress after stress after stress. And your body just thinks that you need to be in survival mode the whole time. You'll just store fat.
Well, and then what I do is when I do think that I want to lose a little bit of weight, because I'd like to lose a bit now, is I find myself, I just think about food all the
You always
time.
think about what you can't have.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on
So
this
it's messing
diet
with my
culture.
head.
Yeah. And then you're just constantly sitting on the couch at night being like, oh, God damn, I wish I could have that chocolate.
But you instantly think, like, if you want to lose a little bit of weight, your first thought is, I need to eat less. I need to eat less. I can't have that. I can't have that. Like, but it's not necessarily
The right way to think.
the right way to think. It might be that you, especially we've been doing a lot of work with menopausal women at the moment, and a symptom of going through menopause is that a lot of women gain body fat around their abdominal area.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's just sad, like that's just the way it is. Other people can kind of reduce that from happening a little bit, but majority of the time it's just part of your menopausal process that you're going through. And
Just like accepting it.
that's where, like, we were talking a lot around, like, a little bit of the fasting and, you know, the window that you have your food in, and a lot of women are cutting out certain things, but carbohydrates, it's more, you know, focusing around being more carbohydrate aware. You don't have to cut it out, just be more aware of what carbohydrates you're consuming. And fun fact, your protein intake nearly doubles when you go through menopause. So that might be something that women end up cutting out altogether, because, like, I don't need that bit of steak, or I don't need that bit of chicken, or so it's,
But you do.
Learning how to work with your body, not against it, I think is really key. And food is one of the easiest ways to do that, to support hormones and what's going on, especially with the woman's cycle as well, not just menopause.
Oh, look, hey, I'm 54. You know, I caught up with the girls last week for lunch and hadn't seen them for a few months. And the first thing we do is one goes, oh, well, I was getting my eyes done this morning. And another one says, I got my ears done the other day. And they're all turning to custard. And then I'm like, are we all getting fatter in the middle? Yes, we all are. And then I just said, my aim is, I'd been to the dentist. I said, my aim is to outlive my teeth.
But it's so important to talk about these things with your girlfriends, because if you're talking about it and you all know, oh, yep, she's putting on that weight through the tummy area too, then it makes it better, makes it okay. It feels like you're not going through it yourself. You know, when you can talk to someone who
But
you
it's
can
being
relate
educated around, like, it's normal. That's menopause. Like, knowing actually what menopause is. A lot of women hit menopause, they don't know what the hell they're going through, and the signs and the symptoms that come with it. Whereas I think it's like your menstrual cycle. When you actually know what's happening, like I'm on my period at the moment and I'm fatigued, I have water retention when I go through my period, I've got no energy,
Your boobs have gone up 3 cup sizes.
My boobs are sore, but I know why that's happening. I know exactly why that's happening, because I'm on my period.
Yeah.
And that's just 5 days out of my 28-day cycle. But during that time, I'm not pushing my body and fighting against those symptoms that I'm getting. I'm actually working with them by doing slower forms of movement.
Yeah.
I feel like, because I lack in energy, I need more carbohydrates. So I choose my carbohydrates wisely, but I might have more of them than what I might when I'm ovulating, because I've got more energy. I feel lighter and ready to get out there and do things. So
And
it's
so
just
knowing our bodies and being
that
open and
education.
talking about it is... well, look, I talk about menopause all the time.
Yeah, so it's it's those conversations that I think if someone's feeling alone out there and they hear you talking about menopause or us talking about menstrual cycle, it's like, okay, I'm not going crazy. Like, I'm fine.
Like, if there's any of you, you know, today being like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit, I don't want to get out there and do anything, so I'm too tired, but you go and push yourself out there. It's like, don't push it. Your body's telling you this for a reason.
Yeah. Now, I mean, and you touched on it before about how complicated it can be. And like, even for me, you know, and I've had weight loss surgery, right? So, and actually processing raw food first before midday can actually be really difficult for me. I need to ease into it. So the other morning, because I'm trying to I cut down my carbohydrates, and I had some leftover chicken salad. I thought, I'm going to have it for breakfast at 10 a.m. Like, there's no golden rules. Yeah. I'm one of those, you know, eat eggs for dinner if you want to.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
I have porridge for dinner.
Anyway, I've got to tell you, it made me as sick as a dog.
Oh, no.
Because obviously my new stomach just couldn't. It was just
Process it.
too much.
How
for
have
it
you
to
found
process.
that with your weight loss surgery in terms of food and getting the right nutrients? And
there's definitely things you can eat and things you can't, and then I'm lucky in that I do love vegetables. So I know, but wet food works in the early days while you're rebuilding. So lots of soups with lots of veggies in it. If it came to it, I could make a cottage pie and I could make it out of a fistful of mince, and then every vegetable you can imagine that turns it into a meal that'll last for a week and make that a bit different. And so I love your smoked fish pie or something like that. Again, I would have 6 times the vegetables in it. So that's how I learnt to manage my body. And it was quite interesting. I was talking to someone the other day and she said, everyone's surprised at how healthy I am because she'd had the surgery. And she said, what was your advice? Like how you can get those nutrients in. So I just couldn't sit there and eat a carrot.
No.
And actually I couldn't, they say don't eat tomatoes or lettuce for the first because it's just, they're actually harder for that new tummy to digest and get itself through while your bowel and everything else is sort of working itself out. So anyway, it doesn't stop you having all of those veggies. No. You just have them a bit differently.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the thing, I really liked your point on you've figured out what works best for you. I think it's so important to know that not everyone's different. What works for you might not work for me, or what works for Margo might not work for either of us. So not necessarily thinking, right, I'm going to follow that, or I'm going to eat I'm going to eat like her. It takes time, obviously, but I think it's really important to learn how to work with your body.
I would get to the stage and I just think I'm feeling a bit run down. I feel like I, almost a little bit, I was just slightly dizzy at that point. I think I just haven't had enough nutrients. I'm not eating enough. So I would go, right, tonight, we're making something that I know I can eat for the next 2 or 3 days. And the difference was after the surgery, I felt genuinely good after eating good food.
Amazing.
And I felt genuinely ill eating bad food.
Well, that's really interesting because a lot of people, a question we get a lot is, what's your guilty pleasure? And, they're like, and when was the last time you had McDonald's? Like, I can't even remember the last time I had McDonald's. And people are like, how do you live?
Yeah.
And it's like you realise how crap you feel when you eat foods like that. Whereas when you're eating a diet based around plants, everything in moderation, whatnot, and you're actually consuming minimally processed foods, you feel so good and you realise how good you can feel. So many people are at a average level all their lives because, they've got not great diets. But when you eat well, you realise how much energy and how good you can feel.
I would get to a stage where I could smell something and know whether it was a good fat or a bad fat. So I could eat a French fry if I really wanted one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have been cooked in good fat, fresh, you know what I mean? And then I could almost sniff something and go, I know that'll make me ill. And it would, right? And sometimes you test it, right? And, got my own eating disorders, so, let's just shove that in there anyway and see how you go. And I would be ill, and it would make me ill. And so really, but I could get to a point where, as you say, I could smell it and know whether or not it was, and then there was just nothing like eating a piece of poached salmon with fresh asparagus with,
so good.
as you say, broccolini or something like that would just rock my world.
Yeah, it's so interesting how your body instantly sends messages being like, all bad, As in, like, that's cooked in bad stuff. You're not going to feel good after that.
Yeah.
You're just in tune with your body.
Need to listen to our bodies more.
So we sort of touched on it, but we do overcomplicate it, don't we? We overcomplicate that kind of dieting and what we can. And people say to me, you must know. And I just sort of go, even I want to lose 5 kgs. I think I know, but it still can feel so complicated.
Yeah.
And that guilt comes with it, right?
But it's always like the weight loss is always the primary thought. Whereas it's like, rather than judging yourself first, being like, make the food the primary thought and the weight loss the secondary, being like, I'm going to fuel my body with good food and then, the rest will come after.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, we should be really clear as well, because I have made lots of your recipes, that even though you're the 2 raw sisters, you cook food.
I was going to say that as well.
Good.
Yeah, by raw we mean using whole minimally processed food. So, we do cook things. We don't just eat raw carrot sticks and broccoli.
No,
we
they
do
don't.
cook things.
I promise you.
Just foods like oats,
We should have said
seeds,
that at the start.
We should have.
coconut, veggies,
Yeah.
Good quality meats.
Yeah.
Those things.
Okay. I think I'm getting towards the end of this segment, but I want to know how on earth to cook eggplant aubergine.
Oh, you're
This is-
talking to
And
the
I
right
love
people.
it. Right, it's one of my
Same.
favourite foods.
That's the one vegetable everyone comes into the kitchen. We're like, because we love eggplant,
People
and people are like, I
cooking
hate
eggplant?
it, and because it's all rubbery. So you've got to eggplant is like a sponge, so you have to put lots of oil on it.
Yeah.
So we say per tray of veggies, like normal veggies, pumpkin, potatoes, whatever, 1 to 2 tablespoons. But for eggplant, you need 4.
Okay.
So
And
it can-
salt.
And salt.
Yeah. But do you salt it first and
No,
let it
no, no.
sit?
Who's
No.
got time for that?
I don't know. I've tried it. I mean, I eat it a lot. I eat it out every
Yeah.
chance I get, but I just haven't mastered
So
cooking it.
chop it up into pieces, put your oil over it. I'd go, 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil, a good couple of pinches of sea salt, I mean a good couple. And then toss it all together, chuck it in your oven at about 200
Bake
for
it.
25 minutes, 30
Yeah.
minutes, and it'll be perfect.
Okay.
So soft and
So soft
juicy and
it's
yum.
amazing.
Do you want one of my go-to recipes when I'm
love
going
it.
to a barbecue? So instead of taking the chops, or the lettuce salad with,
the
with
iceberg
tomatoes,
lettuce, cucumber, tomato, feta.
the one recipe I have mastered is eggplant cut lengthwise. Fry that with a bit of oil just to soften it enough. You've probably done this. And then I put in feta cheese, sun-dried tomato and fresh basil leaves, and you roll it,
Oh,
right?
yum.
And then you take that along and they barbecue it.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then your boys are barbecuing it, because let's be honest, it is usually
Yeah.
the men.
Yeah.
And so you're taking something for the barbecue, but it's not the basic sausages.
I love that.
Love that.
Yeah. And you've
That's a
got
good idea.
tart of the tomato, saltiness of the feta, and then of course that beautiful fresh basil and
So you just sear it on the barbie. And
you
you're
sear
good
it
to
on the
go.
barbie.
Have to try that one out.
Heard it here
Yeah.
first. There you go.
Might make a feature in our new book.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I was just going to say that this podcast is called Ask Me Anything, and I've done all the asking, and so now you can ask me something. But I have just given a recipe, which is quite something.
Yeah.
We do have questions for you though.
Yeah, we do
Okay,
have a
go on,
question.
fire.
How do you deal just with your past career and your current career? How do you deal with different personalities?
Sometimes well and sometimes not so.
Oh, that's good. Refreshing to hear.
Hey, it depends where I am on the menopause.
Depends what time of the month
Yeah,
it is.
it depends where I'm at and the mood that I'm in. I was quite irritated with someone last Friday, and I thought, oh, you need to check yourself. Paula, you're a bit irritated, and there's no need to be. Life's
Sometimes
okay.
you just
and
snap.
Sometimes you're just a little more, so I can be a bit more irritable sometimes than I'd like to be. And that's usually a good time then for me to sit back and reflect, because I have been around long enough. I have dealt with every personality. There's not much I haven't encountered. So a bit more patience and being able to walk away, I think.
Do you let it get under your skin? Or have you got quite a tough skin?
I've got a tough skin, so it doesn't get under my skin. I just think that, like all of us, I can just react a little too quickly sometimes. But I've got social media haters again at the moment. It's because bloody politics and being out there. And, I started arguing with someone the other day. Well, I haven't done that for years. So
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
I'm just tired and I need more sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Definitely. For me, sometimes if I snap or if I'm frustrated or angry, then that makes me sometimes put it on myself that I'm a shit leader, and I'm, I think you can take it personally, but yeah, I'm learning.
Human's good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, is that your question?
I've
Yeah,
got
do you
another
have
one.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Can I
there's
ask you
two
another?
of
Yes.
us. So
How do
two
you
questions.
manage your work-life balance? Are you someone who takes work home with you, or do you have your clear boundaries around this is my work, this is my life outside of work? How do you manage that?
My life's really changed now. So
Yeah.
I was just actually saying to someone today, it was very different when I was in politics. My phone would literally start going at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be unusual for Bill English to ring me at 11 o'clock at night because he would do late nights, and then you've got your other colleagues that do early mornings, right?
Yes.
So you could be doing, and you would be doing everything in between, and it definitely encroached hugely on my personal and my family life, and there was no way to actually separate those, and that's a basic fact of being in a very senior role and a very public one and a very important one. Right now I can definitely cut off. I can not take a call and even text and say, hey, I'm spending a couple of hours with mum, is it okay if I get back to you at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, nice.
You know,
Yeah.
and look, hey, if it's urgent or they really just need a quick answer, I'm very capable of doing that. But I don't mind at all. You know, someone rang the other day and I went, you know, I answered, but I went, I'm walking the dog. How about I ring you back in half an hour, unless you need me now. Now, people really respect it, right?
Yeah,
And it's so important to say no sometimes. Well, it's not saying no, it's just being like, I'll talk to you soon, but now's not a good time. Whereas a lot of us think we've got to drop everything.
Well, you
now
have the
and-
right to say that is you.
Or you make up an excuse that's not, I'm walking the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's
'Cause,
what I
You know,
do.
should I be walking the dog at 8 o'clock in the morning? You know, surely I should be in the shower on the road on the way to work. You know, it's that guilt thing again,
Yeah,
right?
but
Well,
who's got to say what you should be doing at 8 o'clock in the
exactly.
morning?
Yeah.
And that I've probably been up since 6 and
Yeah.
spent an hour, you know, because that's my happy
Exactly.
time, and I did my emails and I've done all of that, and then it's like, right, go for a walk, clear my head, and then hop in the car
Exactly.
and I've missed the traffic. But I don't have to justify it
No,
anymore,
that's the thing.
whereas I used to think I
Yeah,
did.
everyone's trying to justify themselves, isn't it? Even that was us in early business. It was like, why aren't I working?
Yeah.
It's 4:30 and I've, like, you know, why am I not working? Well, you got nothing to do. Go and enjoy the day.
Yeah. Give yourselves a break, yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Rosa and Margo, thank you for joining me today. I have just absolutely had a blast with the two of you. So if people want to find out more about you, from you, get some of those fabulous recipes, where do they go?
We've got our social media, so just at Tooral Sisters. Our website is tooralsisters.com, and if you want to try out our 7-day free trial on our app, just look on your Google Play or Android store. Google Play, App Store, or Google Play.
All of that. And you can still go and buy a book, hey?
Oh yeah, and the books. Sorry, I forget about the books. The books are at all bookstores around the country.
And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you've enjoyed this episode, please go and follow the podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can email askpaula@nzherald.co.nz, or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.